the cost of nostalgia.
Kabam!
What the vintage game, what you were willing to pay, and what you were willing to give up.
Ooh, ouch.
Now, how much are we willing to pay for this nostalgia, lads? Because we spend a lot of money on old things.
Yeah.
And we also spend a lot of money on things that are built brand new to be like old things. AKA the Fender Custom Shop, which we love, but it's built like in a way that's just old. Or these old things that we buy. It's funny, right?
It is kind of funny.
Like, what are you willing to give up? You know, not just as far as your financial obligations to purchase said product, but, you know, when you buy like an old vintage thing, it comes with its old vintage problems.
It's true.
That's what my wife says about me. She's like, you get old vintage problems, all of you. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Everyone knows vintage guitars are perfect in every way. They're magical. They're like unicorns. They're always ready to play.
That's not
ready for the studio or the stage.
It's not true. It's like every time you said like ready for studio stage, I kept thinking like PRS just kept going through my head as you were saying that. I was like, darn, you get back and shove it back down in there. It's like when I can't swallow food, and I just gotta throw up instead. That's the thing I do every once in a while. It's really fun. It's just
it's fine. You get used to it.
Yeah, it's like, what's Baxter doing? Don't worry about it.
No, he's fine.
He's fine. He is fine. Like I've just adapted to it. It's just my life. I don't care. But anyway, yeah, vintage guitars don't play great all the time. They tend and I love vintage Strats. I think they're super cool, but your hand like falls off the fretboard.
Sometimes they do.
The frets are a little tiny thing. I like my vintage 70s pancake Les Pauls too. I think they're cool.
A lot of them are cool.
They're cool, man. I love them. The frets are non-existent. Derek's like 72 Deluxe he has, like 0 frets on that thing.
His fretless Deluxe.
Fretless Deluxe. I was playing, I was like, oh.
And some people are fine with that, and it's fine. And people argue all the time with me that, oh yeah, no, they're better. It plays great. You don't need anything, you know. But I don't know. It's interesting when you were talking about in the beginning, whatever.
In the beginning.
You know the phrase when people say, oh, they just don't make them like they used to. But you actually, in this case, can pay and get pretty close.
Well, let's jump in the Fender Custom Shop for me.
Yeah.
Like we'll go. You can get really close. You can be. It's not affordable or cheap, I guess is the word. It's expensive, but you can have guitars built from the same machines in the same ways and the same methods with modern conveniences to it.
Well, or not. You could put tiny little vintage frets on there.
Well, I'm just saying, just the building ability of it too is like it's
right.
Like we look at the golden age of Fender, like in that sort of pre-CBS period. I mean, a lot of times, like when Leo would do something, it's just because that's the parts he had sitting around. It wasn't some grand design scheme or like this is the jig that we have set up for today. Build those that way. Yeah. The 1056 neck is a perfect example of some of the weird things that became magic that was just done by accident because that's just what happened. That's what we had set up.
I just read a Leo Fender book thing. He was talking about when he was doing amps. He would go out to shows where people were using his amps. And he would crawl up on stage, and the bands would be like, "Oh no, that's just Leo. Leave him be." And he would like go back and like tweak their amp or something, like while they were playing, like trying to figure out getting the most out of it.
So I was thinking like it stinks because all these people are probably dead or close to death at this point. But they can be like, "Yeah, Leo Fender was my amp tech, like at my show,
like unsolicited on stage."
Because like I've seen people crawl up on stage to mess with your amp before. It's not the same reaction from little Johnny Robb. He doesn't like that. So if you're at a show and Johnny's like playing or something, don't go tweak his amp. It's not a good idea.
One of the worst things I ever saw was our good friend JD Simo. Yes. A guy pulled the speaker cable out of his amp while he was playing.
Why?
Because he was too loud. Well, the sound guy, I guess, thought he was too loud, and I don't think his amp did well with that being turned up into the speaker.
Or did the amp blow up or something?
I think it did.
What did old JD do? Did you see like an eruption or fight?
There was no fight, but he handled it amazingly well for it being like what I assume was a vintage Marshall head. No, but that was the end of the show.
That was like when
that was a Soulshine Pizza, if I'm not mistaken.
That was it's like the Bones Owens, like when like that guy, that rapper he was playing with, and he pulled like his Marshall down or something, like because he was wrecking the stage, being cool, and like Bones just like, dude. And Bones is like a 6'6", like skinny, covered in tattooed, like just really nice guy. But like, you don't touch someone's amp unless you're Leo Fender. But anyway, back to the nostalgic nature of what we do. Or I mean, like I was talking with one of my friends, dear Michael, down in Florida the other day, And I was thinking about like, and I was thinking about him. I don't know if I was talking about him. Maybe it's just my head. But I was thinking about like why we buy vintage too, because he just bought like a cool vintage piece from Japan actually. But like part of the neat thing besides like the nostalgic part of it, or like let's say this is a birth year or something, but it's a financial protection too.
Yeah.
Like with vintage pieces, like you do the right ones, most of them, you have somewhat of a sense of financial protection. Assuming we don't have a financial crash anytime soon.
Right.
Like we did in 2008. That was because it took a good solid decade to recover from that.
Yeah.
To the vintage market, which I'd be okay if there was a slight correction in the vintage market right now too to make it.
Well, if there was a crash, nothing's protecting you anyway, right? It doesn't matter if you got stocks or whatever. It's all
everything's washed out.
So you're as protected probably as any.
That's a good point. But I find like, versus like a newer piece.
Oh yeah.
Like that's
1,000%.
Yeah, even with like certain pieces, like you have to, from PRS to Fender Custom Shop to Gibson Custom Shop, like a vintage piece is more protected. Certain custom shops very protected.
But it's really hard to predict like some of the new stuff, right? Like we've got that Corvette Les Paul. Who would have predicted years later? Oh, it's going for 12 or 13 grand.
That is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
But
who would have thought Japanese Stratocasters would be going for like anywhere from 35 to I've seen some up to 45 and 5 or that 83 Fullerton that was $5,500. It's crazy, and they don't play as well usually. They're not set up as well, or they're not able to be set up as well all the time. Like we were saying, but and like let's go to vintage amps too. I love vintage amps.
Vintage amps are great.
I play my 2-rock primarily. I'm a Bloomfield guy. If anybody's curious, that's what we do on most all the demos too. It crosses the platform of every guitar
really well, yeah.
But my amps can break.
Yes.
My Fender amps have been, knock on wood, solid, like more solid than my new amps, honestly. So I don't
to me, like with old Fender amps, like in particular, or just old hand wired amps, it's not even that they don't break. It's like having a 70s pickup truck. Like you can open the hood and you're like, oh yeah, this all does that. I don't see any computer chips. Like, okay, this is fixable. I can fix this as long as I have the parts. Same thing with old tube amps.
It is fixable. It's tough right now with like the lack of components and supplies being out there, but there's something you can open up. Like I can't open up, the Subaru that my wife drives and fix that, and I can't fix anything with a car anyway. Like changing a tire terrifies me. When I saw like one land on my friend's head once, that was really funny. Oh my God. It kind of broke one of his vertebrae, I think. Yeah, it was funny though. It was Patrick.
Suddenly that does kind of make it a little funny, but I don't know why. It's still horrifying.
Tell me, every one of you has a friend out there. If a car sort of lands on the head of it, it maybe breaks his neck a little.
I mean, the fact that he's alive and he's fine.
It's kind of funny. He tried to act like it messes piano playing up. I come on, dude. Like, don't play the fiddle there. But it was a funny moment that happened because I think. God, I don't know if that was the same night. I think, because I remember that one night Patrick and I and like a bunch of guys from college, we all went to go see Star Trek in the theater. I don't remember which one it was, but we went to pick up our friends and they were all in Star Trek uniforms with like with the little like the things like not the tricoders but the little communication things. And they made noises. We're like, holy cow! So we showed up at the movie theater, and the movie theater guy was this Trekkie as well because he was like, guys, hold on 1 second, and then he gave us a private showing. He set up a private showing for just us, and we sat in the middle, right in the front middle, and it was awesome. I'll never forget that experience.
That is amazing.
With like nerdy dudes that could not get dates going to see Star Trek together, which hasn't changed much now. I'm the same guy, but now I'm married, and she'll go to Star Trek with me because you'll eventually, guys out there, you'll find a girl that likes the nerd that you are.
It's true.
Or
tolerates.
Or tolerates.
Yeah.
I thought you said something else much worse. I was like, whoa. I
can't imagine what it was, but
I'll tell you after you finish. I can't repeat it on this because I was like, man, that is horrible. I can't believe you just said that. How do I respond to that? But it's really funny. Holy cow!
No, I wouldn't.
I want to.
Don't forget.
I just remember. I want to put it on a T-shirt. It'd be a perfect T-shirt if you were like Henry Rollins.
Okay.
It's a Black Flag moment.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, that's no. It can be an expensive game. Yes. Like it can be expensive in the financial obligations, but also in the upkeep.
Right.
It can be expensive in the fact that it's not going to play as well. So like your ease of ergonomics on your instrument and your amplifier, maybe it's going to be a little trickier. Like my Fender amps are wonderful and they work great, but like certain levels on where like the caps and pots are shaky, you can replace them. But again, inherently lazy musician just wants to play. It's true. I have that time, but I'm still willing to pay for it. Isn't that funny?
It is funny
when something like vintage comes up and it's really cool. It's like I don't even think about it. If I can afford it, like I want it. It's if I can't afford it, I can't get it.
Because at the end of the day, it's awesome. Like it's just fun.
It's awesome, and at the end of the day, all this talk and chatter we do, all the time we spend on the internet looking at stuff, because we spend a lot of time on that too. It's all because we enjoy it.
It's true.
I love it. I look at guitar videos like at night on my big TV when I'm done sometimes on the YouTube, and I like to call it the YouTube because it makes me sound older than I already am, which is I'm already ancient, so I like doing that. But no, I
Google, the YouTube,
the Google, the internet, the Facebook, which was what it was called originally.
There you go.
Isn't that funny?
Now it's Meta.
They shortened it to Facebook. Now it's Meta. It's still Facebook. Nobody knows.
The Meta.
That's so. God, what was the word you said that I thought you said something different?
Tolerate.
Okay, got it. That's good. Let us know your experiences down this vintage, nostalgic world. I like it when my kids play with my toys from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I've got Mobile Suit Gundam toys, G.I. Joe toys, Transformer toys, He-Man toys.
I got a bunch of old He-Mans that Elijah likes to play with. Yeah,
that explains a lot with you. Little shirtless man toys.
Oh yeah, those furry little brief things he wears.
I know. I get it.
Me as a child, like we're talking very young child.
You had a beard as a child too.
I did. I'd put on my like little, underoos, like tighty whities, and like these work boots my grandparents bought me, and I'd put my He-Man sword through my underwear and run around like in the yard.
That's weird.
Why my parents thought that was fine, I don't know, but they did.
This is what turns out when you let Johnny Robb do his thing. I don't want to tell you about my childhood.
He-Man. Yeah, no,
dress up stories. I might have mentioned it once.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing.
Let's not talk about it. This is like therapy session. I don't want to get into right now. I'm too old for that too.
Only us and a few friends.
I'd say but if you're in doubt, just take that journey, take the plunge. It's always fun. Just but we're idiots. We all are.
Idiots.
We're collective idiots that buy old things, and we want things that are built like they're always built in 1954.
I can't remember how exciting it was the first finished thing I bought. It was very cool.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
It's very cool. It's different than just getting a new guitar or a new amp. It's different.
It's
like you're part of this weird history.
Well, that's what and then the new stuff becomes that to me too. Like when I buy into it, because I'm not a buyer and trader. Like when I buy a piece, it usually stays part of my collection, and it becomes like a thing that I'm like, well, that's what this is for, and it's also just the aesthetic. I think old things are beautiful, and I think the new things are beautiful too. I think they live perfectly well together, for the most part. Yeah. Enjoy the journey. Have fun with it.
There you go.
Was Stranger Things good?
It was fantastic.
Okay.
Because this is only volume 1, though. You got to wait till July 1st for volume 2.
That's how many episodes? 6?
7.
Oh wow, that's a lot. Well, that's nostalgic. That show is all about nostalgia, and it's marketed at my age group demographic perfect. They're shooting for 40-year-old person that grew up in the 80s. This is for you.
It's true.
And then the kids like it too because they're like, oh my god, look how retro it is. What's really weird is that time difference for now and then is more than Marty McFly's to the Back to the Future.
Isn't that crazy?
I know.
That is
it's
crazy.
Weird. So these kids that watch it are like, whoa, it's like a different time to them. Bicycles and no cell phones.
There's a really funny. There's like a I won't spoil anything, but there's a hacker sort of thing going on in this one.
Computer thing.
But it's a kid.
Okay.
And she's like, it's called the internet. And they're like, what? And she's like, it's going to change the world. It's no big deal. But it's just, they don't know because it's all the little green dots.
My first internet inclination came from Orson Scott Card's Entered Game. When he sort of forecast that in 1974 or 5, whenever it was written from a North Carolinian author. If you haven't read Ender's Game, read Ender's Game. Give it. I just bought it for my little nephew the other day.
Like when they're on the little lake in North Carolina trying to convince him to go back.
Oh yeah, they do
save the world.
Yeah, it's true. And then they made a movie. The movie's not terrible.
I enjoyed the movie, but the book is so good.
The book is way better. But as it usually always is, except for Twilight, I think they nailed it. And Hunger Games, as good as the books.
Probably.
I think so, yeah. I want them to make a movie of the prequel that just came out about President Snow.
Ooh.
It came out like a few months ago.
Okay.
My wife read it out loud to me. It was awesome.
Is it really good?
I like the Hunger Games world.
I do too. I read all the Hunger Games.
I think it's a good book, just reading about President Snow as a young person.
Okay.
It's kind of fascinating to sort of read from the other side of things.
Okay. All right.
And it makes you understand things a bit better.
I'm going to leave my comment out. All right.
What was that word you said again?
Tolerate.
Got it. Good night. God bless. Be super duper. We're out of here.
See you next time.